You're sitting in a glass conference room on the 34th floor, and the CEO is speaking. His name is Richard Calloway, 62 years old, $4.2 million annual package. Voice like a boardroom god. Deep, measured, impossible to question. You've been his executive assistant for 3 years. You know his schedule, his passwords, his coffee order, his vocal patterns. You know the way he pauses before he disagrees with someone. You know the exact cadence he uses when he's about to fire somebody. You're good at your job, maybe too good. Because right now, while he's talking about Q3 projections, you're not listening to the words. You're recording them. Your phone is flat on the table, screen down, capturing everything. You've been doing this for 6 weeks. You have 11 hours of clean audio. The idea started as a joke, not even your joke. A friend sends you an article about voice cloning software, open source, free. You read it at midnight on a Tuesday because you can't sleep. You haven't been able to sleep properly since the promotion that didn't happen. You were the obvious choice. Everyone knew it. The board went external instead. Brought in some guy from McKinsey named Derek, who'd never run operations in his life. Derek reports to Calloway. You report to Derek. You went from being indispensable to being invisible in one board meeting. So at midnight on a Tuesday, you download the software just to see, just as a joke. You feed it 40 minutes of Calloway's voice. The output takes 11 minutes to generate. You type a sentence and press play. It sounds exactly like him. Your stomach drops. The first real test costs you nothing. Derek sends a company-wide email about mandatory weekend training, unpaid. Morale is already terrible. You clone Calloway's voice saying the training is optional. You send it as a voice memo from a spoofed number to 6 senior managers. You tell yourself it's just a correction. Derek overstepped. Calloway would never have approved that policy if he'd actually reviewed it. 3 managers skip the training. Nothing happens. Nobody checks the source of the voice memo. Nobody calls Calloway directly to verify. They just hear his voice and comply. That's when you understand something important. Richard Calloway runs this company entirely on authority, not presence, not engagement, authority. And authority is just a voice. Calloway travels constantly. Singapore, Dubai, Frankfurt. He's in the building maybe 9 days a month. The rest of the time he runs things remotely. Emails, voice memos, occasional video calls where he mostly just listens. You know his communication style better than his own wife does. You've drafted 80% of his internal correspondence for 2 years, his EA before you did the same. This is how senior executives actually operate. They're symbolic. They set direction and then disappear. The machine runs itself. Except now you're the machine. You start small. A vendor contract negotiation that Derek is botching. You send a voice memo as Calloway redirecting the approach. The vendor pivots immediately. The deal closes at better terms than anyone expected. Derek takes the credit. That's fine. You realize that nobody is actually checking the source of these communications. The assumption is that if it sounds like the CEO, it comes from the CEO. The company has been built on this assumption for years. Everyone trusts the voice implicitly because questioning it would mean questioning authority itself. You file this observation away carefully. The software gets better every week. You feed it more audio. You're up to 19 hours of source material. The model learns his breathing patterns, the slight rasp he gets late in the day, the way his voice drops when he's delivering bad news. You build a library of phonemes. You can make him say anything in under 4 minutes. You work from your apartment on a laptop that's never connected to the company network. You use a VPN. You're careful. You're meticulous in a way you've never been about anything else in your life. You start keeping notes. Every clone you generate gets logged. Date, purpose, recipient, outcome. By month 2, you have 23 entries. Month 3, you have 51. Derek makes a decision that's going to cost the company $3.2 million. You can see it clearly. The vendor he's chosen for the logistics overhaul is undercapitalized. You pulled their financials. They had a judgment against them in 2021 that Derek apparently missed. You flag it in writing. Derek ignores you, so Calloway calls him. Except Calloway is in Singapore and doesn't actually call him. You call him. From a burner SIM. Calloway's voice asking pointed questions about vendor due diligence. Derek stumbles through the answers. The next morning, he reverses course. He picks the second vendor, the one you'd already identified as solvent. He tells the team he reviewed the decision overnight. You sit in the meeting and say nothing. You understand now that you're not just correcting Derek's mistakes. You're running the company through proxy. Every intervention is another brick in a structure that doesn't officially exist. The power you're exercising is entirely deniable. If anything goes wrong, it's a software error, a miscommunication, a glitch. Calloway can deny having made any of these calls. You can deny having made them too. The voice exists in a gray space where accountability evaporates. 6 months in, you've redirected 4 major decisions, killed 2 bad hires before they were finalized, renegotiated a lease on the Dallas office that was 3 years overdue for review, approved a budget reallocation that let the product team actually ship something. The company is performing better than it has in 2 years. Q2 earnings beat projections by 8%. The board is pleased. They credit Calloway's leadership. His stock options vest early based on performance triggers. He gets a $600,000 bonus. You get a $4,200 spot award and a thank you email from Derek. You read it twice. Then you go home and generate another clone. The thing nobody tells you about running a company secretly is how exhausting the silence is. You can't talk about any of it. You sit in meetings where people debate decisions you've already made. You watch Derek explain strategy he doesn't understand. You watch senior managers nod at logic that's yours, packaged in a voice that isn't. You develop a split consciousness. There's the you that everyone sees, quiet, capable, slightly undervalued. Then there's the you that actually runs this place. That version of you works from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. most nights. That version of you has read every board memo from the last 5 years. That version of you knows where everybody is buried. Month 7, something shifts. Calloway starts being more present. He's back in the building more often. 15 days in October. You don't know why. Maybe the board is nervous about something. Maybe his travel schedule changed. He starts holding in-person sessions you have to attend. You sit across from him and listen to him make decisions you've already made. Sometimes he makes the same call. Sometimes he doesn't. When he doesn't, you feel a specific kind of frustration you can't explain to anyone. He overrides a vendor extension you'd already approved in his name. The vendor is confused. They received conflicting direction. They escalate. An internal audit gets flagged. Nothing comes of it. Somebody blames a miscommunication during the travel window. You log it and don't sleep for 2 days. The near miss changes your operation. You get more disciplined. You stop touching anything Calloway might personally follow up on. You narrow your scope. You work the edges. Decisions that fall into the gray zone. Things that should be escalated but rarely are. HR policy adjustments, facilities, approvals, mid-level budget transfers under $500,000 that don't require board sign-off. You find the seams in the org chart, and you live inside them. Nobody is looking at the seams. You move $2.1 million across 3 departments over 6 weeks. All of it justified. All of it documented. All of it correct. You're not stealing anything. That's what you tell yourself. You're allocating resources toward outcomes. You're doing the job nobody else is doing. The rationalization becomes easier each time. You've learned to compartmentalize the fact that you're making unilateral decisions that affect hundreds of people's work lives. The money moves, the projects proceed, nobody questions it, because it all appears to flow from legitimate sources, from legitimate authority. You've become expert at making the illegitimate look inevitable. Month 9, you make your first real mistake. You clone Calloway's voice for a call with the CFO. Routine stuff. Capital expenditure, approval for new server infrastructure. But you Mispronounce a term, it's subtle. Calloway always says infrastructure with a specific stress pattern. Your clone puts the emphasis one syllable off. The CFO doesn't react in the moment. He approves the expenditure, but 3 days later, he mentions it to his deputy. Says Calloway seemed off. Tired, maybe. The deputy mentions it to someone in legal. Legal mentions it to the board liaison. The board liaison makes a note. Nobody does anything with the note, but the note exists. You don't find out about the note until month 10. One of the senior managers, a woman named Patricia, who you've always respected, pulls you aside after a budget meeting. She asks if you know whether Calloway has been feeling well. She says she's heard a few comments, that his voice has sounded different on some recent memos. You keep your face completely still. You tell her you haven't noticed anything. You say he's been traveling a lot, probably fatigued. She nods. She looks like she believes you. She also looks like she doesn't quite believe you. You go back to your desk and sit for 20 minutes without moving. That night, you go through every clone you've generated in the last 4 months. You listen to each one critically. You hear things you missed in real time. Micro inconsistencies. Places where the model interpolated instead of replicated. The software is good. It's not perfect. You've been relying on people not listening carefully. Most people don't, but some people do. Patricia does. You don't know who else might. You shut down 3 pending clones you'd already queued. You sit with the silence for a week. Nothing happens. No calls, no meetings, no HR visit. You start breathing again. Month 11 arrives. The company announces a leadership restructuring. Calloway is stepping back, not retiring. Transitioning to a chairman role. The incoming CEO is already selected. Internal candidate, not Derek. Someone from the product side you've always thought was sharp. The transition is effective in 60 days. You read the announcement 3 times. You feel something strange. Not relief exactly, not panic, something in between. Everything you've built inside this company, every decision you've steered, every crisis you've quietly managed, is about to be inherited by someone who has no idea it exists. The new CEO will walk into a machine that works and never know why it works. You start thinking about the logs. 23 months of records on your personal laptop. Every clone, every recipient, every outcome. You created them for your own protection. Evidence that your decisions were sound, that you weren't causing harm. But sitting here now with a restructuring announcement on your screen, they look like something else. They look like a confession. You spend a Sunday going through them. You're thorough. You are always thorough. 214 entries. The earliest one is dated 18 months ago, a full 7 months before you started counting. You'd forgotten about the early experiments. You hadn't been logging yet. You don't actually know how far back it goes. The new CEO starts his transition meetings 2 weeks early. He wants to understand current operations before the formal handover. He's methodical. He's asking the right questions. He sits down with each department head individually. He sits down with Derek, who performs competence like it's a job skill. He sits down with Patricia, who you notice goes in for 45 minutes and comes out looking thoughtful. 2 days later, you get a calendar invite. Meeting with the incoming CEO. No agenda listed. 30 minutes. Your name and 2 others from the executive support team. You accept the invite. You close your laptop. You look out the window at the city 34 floors below. The glass is cold when you press your palm against it. The morning of the meeting, you get to the office at 6:45. The building is almost empty. You go to the server room on the 4th floor, the one you have access to as part of your facilities coordination role. You sit in the cold hum of the equipment, and you think about what you actually did, whether it was wrong. The company is worth more than it was. The decisions were defensible. Nobody got hurt. You told yourself that every single night for 11 months, and most of the time you believed it. The meeting is at 9 a.m. You have 2 hours. You think about Patricia's face in that hallway, the way she looked at you. She's already in a meeting with the incoming CEO right now. That wasn't on the schedule yesterday.